At the time I'm recording this, if you put together Sona, Bard, and Seraphine, we've basically got 3 champions with a musical theme, both in lore and in gameplay, but it's pretty likely that this trio is about to turn into a quartet. In other words, a new musical champion is coming. This whole idea comes from Sona's lore, which pretty much confirms it. So in her lore, it says her adoptive mother, Lady Lystara Bevel, got super intrigued by the musical instrument her daughter used for her performances. It moved people so deeply that even the most proud, battle-hardened folks would get emotional and overwhelmed by this peaceful, touching feeling. Lystara went digging for answers in the libraries of the Illuminators, which is this charitable religious order in Demacia that isn't intolerant towards mages. They even cover for the ones they can't help them hide their magical abilities in public. Anyway, it was in some old books, and even in a few records of arcane knowledge, that Lystara found information that matched Sona's instrument almost perfectly. That made her believe that her adoptive daughter was in possession of one of the legendary étoiles. According to the records, the étoiles are incredible artifacts that even predate the founding of Demacia. And keep in mind that Demacia was formed during the Rune Wars, where refugees headed west across Valoran looking for safety from all of the chaos and insanity going on with those conflicts. From what I could find, the Rune Wars happened something like 1,000 years ago, which means the étoiles already existed way before that event. But what exactly are they besides legendary magical artifacts? So I did some digging and checked this out. The word étoile, when you read it like German, sounds really similar to the French word étoile, which means star. That made me think that maybe the étoiles are instruments from Targon Prime, the city of gold and silver that exists in the celestial realm above the peak of Mount Targon, in the physical world. Just to be clear, that name, Targon Prime, is something that the community came up with, because we don't actually know the official name of that place. And my guess about the étoile being from that place comes from the fact that Ash's bow is implied to be a weapon from that celestial realm that was covered in true ice. And that comes from an interaction Tarek has with Ash.
That bow is of the stars, as is its mistress.
But going back to the étoiles, there's more than one, and Riot could totally explore the others and keep releasing them over the years, sort of like what they did with the Darken. After all, back when Aatrox first came out, his lore just said that he was one of 5 members of a really ancient and mysterious race. Over time and through reworks, Riot introduced a bunch of others, so we could have new musical champions, each wielding different étoiles, and through that, we learn more about these things. Because for example, Sona's étoile seems to have some kind of consciousness. It behaves in ways only Sona can understand. And they have this master instrument symbiosis. They might even communicate, but not in the way that makes Sona sound schizophrenic or anything. And since she's mute, it's more intimate, a sharing of empathy via this synergy between her and the instrument, like they are one being, or an extension of each other. Actually, Sona's étoile, or maybe one of the others, could play an interesting role in Swain's plans. On the wiki, it said that Swain, the Great General, might be a fan of Sona, and there's even an in-game interaction hinting at that.
Oh. Is the Grand General a fan?
That's a callback to Swain's older lore, where he did appreciate Sona's concerts and melodies. But in his current lore, his interest is more about the étoile. Why? Simple. If Sona or another musician has an étoile, they might be able to quiet the ROM inside of Swain, or even control it via this sleep empathy magic. In case you didn't know, ROM is Swain's demon. With that magic, Sona could tap into memories and emotions, and even influence people's actions. Yep, Sona's powers are way more sinister than you realized. But luckily, she's a good guy. And while you're down there, don't forget to subscribe, drop a like on the video, and maybe consider becoming a member to get access to a bunch of cool perks. And check out our store. There's a lot of really cool designs available and products, so go check them out. Links in the description. Anyways, back to the video. If Swain could recruit her, he might get a way to delay the price of his pact with ROM, the terms of which we don't know because there's basically zero info on their deal. Either way, with the power of an étoile, Swain could do a lot. Imagine if he manipulates a musician wielding étoile to use their music to control various Azakana in Ionia, building a small army. And Swain's really good at manipulating people, so that's not even super far-fetched. Also, I really believe this magic could be used to expel and exorcise demons. You could totally use Christianity as an example. In the Christian Bible, when David played his harp, he made a melody that drove away the evil spirit that was tormenting King Saul, and it filled him with relief and peace. Now, if I had to bet, I'd say that this musician's étoile would be an ocarina. And I say that because how popular and culturally impactful that instrument became. I even think its popularity exploded, not coincidentally, thanks to the game Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time from 1998 on the Nintendo 64. It'd also be super cool if that ocarina player had the kind of vibe like Tayuya from the Sound 4 in Naruto, who uses her demon flute to control 3 demons she summons, directing them with a melodic frequency. Just imagine how sick it would be to have a champion who controls spirits through music. And you could switch gameplay for those spirits using an ability that changes your frequency. For example, you play a calm, soft melody so the spirit heals or protects an ally. Then for your ultimate, you can switch to different musical arrangements. In that mode, the character hits more aggressive notes, making the spirits go on the offensive, maybe dealing CC or some kind of negative effect to enemies. That way you'd be alternating between 2 modes depending on your style or what you need in the moment. Now, if the musician's its wall isn't something delicate like an ocarina, I want it to be a guitar. Screw it. Something like Dante from Devil May Cry 3 with his guitar Navon, the Lightning Witch. To a lot of fans, that's one of the most creative weapons in the game, because Dante just rips on his guitar, launching a swarm of bats and lightning with every riff. It's just super cool. And it's worth remembering there is a character in Runeterra who has a concept kind of like that. Her name is Scratch. She's known as the Zon Diva. Actually, she's kind of a rival to Seraphine in the lore, but she might also have a hidden fondness for her. But screw that part. Honestly, it's way more fun to picture a Scratch absolutely shredding over Seraphine during a show, green glowing lightning flying off her guitar or bass, than to focus on any ship between them. Speaking of Seraphine, before she was released, some people theorized that she was going to be the aspect of sound, because some promo images on her Twitter felt very space and star themed, and her songs often referenced the cosmos. And honestly, if she really had been the aspect of sound, it would have been way more interesting than the fairy e-girl vibe she ended up with. Her lore was already weak, and today it doesn't even make sense anymore. So maybe one day Riot actually creates the aspect of sound. And if you're wondering why Riot would make more champions with this theme, the answer is money. Just look at all the profit that the whole campaign to promote Seraphine and the new KDA album generated. There were even those controversies about a Rioter supposedly creating the champion based on a girl named Stephanie. Apparently, the 2 of them kept in contact, and this Rioter was either in love or trying to get closer by using his position at the company to create the champion. Either way, the whole thing stirred up drama that, in the end, just kept everyone's attention focused on Riot. And as Riot has already made clear before, just because you have a character who controls a certain element or a specific theme, that doesn't mean you can't create a new perspective using that same foundation. Sona and Seraphine are good examples of this. While Sona represents the broad musical aura theme, Seraphine is closer to a rhythmic musical theme. So there are a lot of space to fill with new ideas and different angles. I know a lot of people think Seraphine is lame, and I honestly agree, but the problem comes from how she was handled. Something like 98% of the investment in the character went to her marketing stunt of pretending she existed in real life, tweeting about her dreams and daily life and projects, and riding the hype of KDA's return. And because of that, nothing was left for her inside of Runeterra. She honestly doesn't feel like she fits in the region she was born in and lives in. And her lore was super simple. The only cool part was the thing with the Bracken crystals, where she could hear the whispers of the souls inside of the Hextech crystals, and that doesn't even exist anymore. Seraphine is basically a modern version of what Hatsune Miku type character would look like in Runeterra, with a more polished Sona-style gameplay. It's no surprise that she was the most hated champion on release. Her champion spotlight on League of Legends channel got the highest number of dislikes out of every champion ever. Just so you get the idea, it had 138,000 dislikes. Basically, 68% of all reactions were negative. And if you think her reception was better in Asian countries, that's where you're wrong. In South Korea, Seraphine's dislike percentage hit 93%. But it's like the whole thing of any publicity is good publicity, right? And seriously, because so many people kept talking about her, Riot eventually tried to fix her character in Legends of Runeterra. There, she's totally more consistent with Piltover and Zon, where she uses instruments with a steampunk feel to make music. Even her concept art helps us see how much she actually looks like she belongs to Runeterra now, instead of looking like some TikTok e-girl with an OnlyFans. Now Riot just needs to actually learn from their mistakes and make sure not to make the new musician champion a Sona 3.0, or worse, another Seraphine. But yeah, that's basically it. I'll see you guys in the next video.